Alrighty, my friends, we are back. We were just talking about phasmophobia because, it's spooky in Barovia, it's spooky in phasmophobia. So, more vampires in Barovia than ghosts, I guess. But
Oh,
here we
there's a lot of
go.
ghosts in Barovia.
Oh, are there? Oh, great. Well, we're going to get all of that. All right, well, I'm going to swap over the screen, and here we go. We are back in the inn.
Okay. Before we go any further, I need everyone to give me a perception check, please.
Perception, okay.
Disadvantage.
See.
Okay.
Ooh. Still not bad.
All right, I didn't roll a 1 again for once.
Yeah, that's good. So, for the most
Did mine come
part,
through?
yeah, okay, now it did. Everyone, you're able to kind of, as you walk in, take in the entirety of the inn itself. However, Ulrich, you were the only person to notice that as you walked in, the sign that was hanging above the inn itself, which was a little bit askew, one of the chains has broken a little bit. But the initial sign that you guys saw coming in that kind of directed you towards the location of the inn listed it as Blood of the Vine. But you noticed that as you walked in on the sign itself in front of the inn, the F had been scratched out, and an N had been, the letter N had been placed scratched above it. So it reads as Blood on the Vine.
Okay.
But as you guys are making your way in, the women bringing you forward, you do see that there's not only the barkeep who's actually going about his everyday business. There's two other bodies in this inn. Both of them are sitting at separate tables, and they both seem to be slumped over, sleeping, you assume in a drunken stupor. But the three women sit you down. They're loving Evander's flourish, and they're just looking you all over and quickly peppering you with all these sorts of questions like, oh, so who are you? What's your name? Where do you come from? What is this that you have here? And one of the women kind of brushes your hair, Galen, because let's face it, you do have a striking look, don't you?
Of course,
So
I
she
did.
kind of like brushes your hair, and you can feel it catch your hair kind of catch on one of her rings, and she yanks it. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, so sorry.
Oh,
Just too many rings, I apologize. Forgive me. And she kind of gives you this little pouty face.
I just go. All right.
Seeing this, can Ulrich kind of remember just from his studies about spell casting if people's hair is ever used as a focus or a material for casting curses or something?
You wouldn't even need to make a history check. You are someone who casts spells. You would know that sometimes this is used and stuff.
Okay.
But the women continue like, so what's your name? Tell us everything. And they're like kind of like touching your shoulders and trying to like be extra friendly.
Evander has been to a lot of.
Please?
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
How much for a room, please?
Well, it's typically 8 gold a night for one room.
Conrad's jaw drops.
Upon seeing that, one of the other, the second woman, kind of pushes, like, kind of playfully at the first one who answered you. No. These are outsiders. 5 gold a night.
Galen's jaw drops.
The third woman grasps your chin and pulls it back up. Don't worry, dear. That's the special discount.
Galen immediately smiles.
Evander does another flourish and he asks, if I were to liven your beautiful establishment with songs and tales, is there any chance that you might give us a little bit of a house discount?
The women kind of look at them like each other, and you can see that there's a conversation happening between them. But two of the women defer to the very first woman who answered that it's 8 gold. And she looks at you, Evander, and she says, maybe. We will have to see what you have. What kind of crowd can you bring in? I mean, this is Barovia, after all. It's not like it's Balaki. I mean, that is true.
Well, let me ask you, what kind of entertainment do Barovians enjoy?
We could do with some music. We don't hear much music anymore.
You must be a lady of discerning taste.
She leans back in her chair and she says, if you can bring in a good crowd tonight, 3 gold for the room.
Evander surreptitiously looks around to his friends to see if they look amenable to this offer.
Connard will glance at the 2 other patrons and he'll ask, how much to rent a table?
And at this point, the woman kind of like puts her elbow on the table. They have a tab that's running. Him, she points to the man in the far corner, furthest away from you guys. He needs to make good on his tab today. If you wish to help with that, 2 gold. Him, and she points to the other man that's probably a little bit closer to you, like maybe on the other side of the aisle where your table is. His father just passed, so we're giving him a one-time offer.
Is that what all the wailing outside is about?
Ugh. And all 3 of the women just kind of roll their eyes and like almost in unison, they're like, "Oh, it's Mad Mary. Will she ever shut up?" says one of them.
Mad Mary. Who's that?
She's a woman who is mad. She's
Makes sense.
always going on and on about her daughter being lost, being gone, probably dead, chimes in one of them. Just like the others, chimes in the third. But
Others? How long? How long have you been gone?
Such dour, sad conversations. Who are you? We don't get many outsiders anymore. Please tell us. What is your name?
Evander bows. He says, I, my ladies, am Evander Nailo, bard extraordinaire, and these are my lovely friends who we have come to know each other on the road. We have been through many adventures, and we would love to regale you, but we are tired. Is there any chance we might have a meal and a place to rest before we tell you our stories?
And again, the 3 women look at each other, but once more they defer to the first woman. And she says, we can give you breakfast. And we can give you a room. But our deal still stands. If you do not bring in patrons for your bard, magic, music, song, then 8 gold.
Evander would like to pull out 3 gold as a deposit, kind of slide it across the table. I guarantee you, my ladies, I am so confident that I can liven up this establishment that I will put this down as a down payment.
Seems fair. Food is included with your tab, so feel free to tell Eric what you'd like.
Ulrich says, hi, if it helps with the cost, I can repair things with magic. Tears and rips. Broken things.
The first woman looks towards the third woman and says, perhaps Sorvia could find use for you. She will come and find you after you've rested, no?
Okay, thank you. Sorbia?
Sorvia. V is in
Sorbia.
Victor.
Okay. Sorbia. Ah.
Can Evander ask what the lovely ladies' names are who have been so accommodating and welcoming to us?
Absolutely. The first woman is the one who speaks for all of them. She points to herself and she says, I am Alinka. The second woman, Mirabelle. And the
Mirabelle?
third woman, Sorvia.
Mirabelle and Sorvia.
Alenka's the one who does most of the talking and decision making.
Yes, she's the one that the other two women were kind of deferring to the entire time, and she was the one making the decisions.
Which
Evan
one
just-
pulled my hair?
That's Mirabelle.
Mm.
Evander says, lovely names for three lovely ladies.
Indeed, and they begin giggling again.
Oh, this is creepy.
So shall we
So I
ask
suppose,
about the
I
meals?
suppose you want to sleep now, no? Or did you want to eat?
Look around to the others. Shall we eat or shall we sleep first, my friends?
So just kind of out of context here, the good berry that I gave you guys is a full like day's nourishment for you, so you would
Oh.
feel
Don't need
somewhat
to
full.
eat.
Okay.
Numbers.
Which at this point Ulrich is happy about.
Okay. I guess Evander, since he's kind of speaking for the others, say, well, we've had long travels. If you wouldn't mind showing us to a room, that would be... Rest would be very welcome right now.
Do we not want to ask about the burglar master?
Burgomeister.
Evander
Yes.
kind of wants to be like,
Uh,
not until we've rested, not until we get the
The
lay
three
of the
women have-
land.
Kind of like look at you, Tasso, and then look at each other, and then they just crack up. The room kind of echoes with their laughter, to the point where you can kind of see the two men that have kind of been slouched, kind of look up, and then immediately fall back asleep.
Oh, they actually.
It's so funny.
Okay. So the two guys are alive.
Oh yeah, they're alive.
Okay.
oh, you thought they were dead?
I was under the impression they were just like dead. I was wondering if we were gonna ever ask about that. But I guess- okay.
So you were looking for the Burgermeister, huh?
Yes, Mr.
I think
Indirovich.
so.
You're about 3 days too late. The man is dead. That there, she points to the guy closest to you. That's his son. He's come here to drown his sorrows, his grief. The man's not even buried yet. And you can see that all three women at the same time kind of make a cross, like not a cross, but like a sign of protection.
How did that happen?
He was old, he was fat, wasn't very healthy. I suppose it happens. But you're looking for a room, no? Mirabelle, show them the way. And
When you say they make a sign of protection, what
mhm.
exactly do they do?
They just kind of make a mark among in front of their bodies, It's if you're wanting to know if you recognize it, you do
Right.
not.
What was that?
You don't.
I do not. Okay.
But you can just tell by context. It's
I get a sense that that's what
yeah,
they're trying to
it's
do.
like
Okay.
trying to ward off the evil eye or something like that. That it's
Okay.
or maybe it's a small prayer, but they kind of make just a notion of a man not buried days after the fact, not good.
Sure. Okay.
Would you ladies be Vistani by any chance?
They look at each other and make. What's your insight modifier, Zach?
+1.
They look at you after first looking at Alenka, and Alenka speaks up. No, we are not Vistani. No, Mirabelle. And the other two women move back towards the bar where Eric is, and Mirabelle kind of stands up and is like, "Okay, let's go." You get the sense, Zach, that it's not a full truth.
Yeah, Ulrich would have been paying attention to that
But
too.
is it not a full lie either? Or do I not know?
You don't know.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and rest without me? I'll just make other arrangements.
He's gonna stay with a tavern wench.
Evander looks to Connor to say, "You sure you want to split up?"
Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything dangerous. I just I don't like this place.
Would you like some assistance?
I just he pats his coin purse and he looks kind of embarrassed. He says, "Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. Just do what you need to do."
Evander's going to follow Mirabelle. He's actually ready to actually get some sleep if at all possible.
Okay. Yep. She's been kind of like motioning you. Come on, this way. This way.
As everyone's moving along, Ulrich is going to use a sorcery point to cast a subtle spell of detect magic. So there's no verbal or any indication that he's casting this spell, and he just wants to move it around these women, around the room, like everything here.
Okay. You don't pick up anything magical happening. So let me double check one thing. I would say, while I'm double checking this, the only kind of magical thing that is definitely pinging right now is the journal that
Connor has.
So it's a
let me-
journal, eh?
Let me just
You
check
don't know.
one.
Well, Connor doesn't know that.
Oh my god, I can't spell all of a sudden. Or ever. Okay. For the time being, just so that we can continue, that's the only thing that you're picking up on.
Okay. All right. Ulrich
But
will
not,
follow.
not from the women or anything like that.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to leave Evander, but I'm not happy about Connor
Wait,
Staying
why is
behind.
Connor?
accepting.
Why is Conrad staying downstairs?
He has money to spend.
On
Hey.
on what?
I can only assume the tavern wench.
Okay.
They are owners. They are not wenches.
Oh man.
But you, so
I'll
everyone
look to
except-
Connor and just go, laddie, do you just want to share a room? Don't worry, I sleep in chairs.
Oh, that reminds me. I didn't. That's fine.
Connor,
It's not important. But everyone but Connard is following Mirabelle, correct? Upstairs.
Yes.
Can I give
Evander
one
is
more
also-
look to Connor as we're walking up the stairs to make sure he wants to be alone?
Yeah, I
So,
tossed that to Connor to see. I don't want to leave Connor behind.
Me either.
um, are you sure you really sleep in chairs all the time?
Hi, laddie.
Evander
sleep
looks
in
around,
trees
goes,
normally.
all the time, all the time. I'm always in bed. He's always in chairs.
Well, I suppose I could keep an eye out or something while you sleep. Very well, I'll accompany you.
Excellent.
So where are you accompanying him?
I'm going
To
to
whatever room he's
pay
getting.
for the room
How
at
many
their
rooms
discounted rate.
How many
What was
rooms
that?
are you getting?
I was thinking
Because-
we'd share a room, honestly. I know there's 5 of us, but
Well, how big are the rooms?
Yeah, I would. If you follow Mirabelle, you would have that information.
I have no problems following Mirabelle. I kind of have a
It's-
thing for her.
So there's it's a kind of a smallish room. There are 2 like twin size beds on either side. There's a little wash basin in the center. There is a window above that wash basin. So obviously one person each can fit in the beds. The rest of you could definitely fit on the floor, or you can
How
just
many
opt in
chairs?
the room. There are no chairs in the room, but Mirabelle is nice, and she says you can bring one up from the first floor, but you have to carry it up and you have to carry it back down. I don't do any heavy lifting.
Understood, lass. I find the most comfortable chair and I hold it over my head.
Okay. All right. So it's up to you guys if you are satisfied with that arrangement or if you want a second room.
Evander wants to stick together, so he's kind of like, this looks good to me.
I
All right, laddie.
usually sleep leaning up against a tree, so I'll be fine on the floor.
I'll sleep on the floor.
Oh. I would
Evander's
not
like,
if I
I'm
was
taking a
there.
bed. I don't know.
I mean, me too. I'm like, I'm gonna take the bed. Okay. All right.
But I
You
snapped
guys
a
are
blanket.
You're fine. now?
Connard's already laying his bedroll out on the floor.
Oh, you have a
Okay.
bedroll with you? Wow.
He's fancy.
Ulrich has no equipment.
Before Mirabelle leaves, Evander wants to kind of whisper to her and say, so, in Barovia, what's your favorite kind of music around here? Because I really want to light up
I
this
tossed-
place tonight.
I toss all
Uh-oh.
I lost you, Jeremiah. I don't know what you said.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, I think we're
Uh-oh.
losing him or something.
We might. So I will address what Evander said first, and then we'll come back to Jeremiah once he reconnects with us. She kind of leans in, like, these people are very, very sad, very boring. Very, very, very gray. I want something that will make me dance.
Mm. So you don't want love ballads. You don't want sad tales. You want upbeat dancing music.
I want happy music. I want music of I do want music of love, music of happiness, music of beating the odds. That's what we need in Barovia.
Say no more. Thank you.
Immediately look to Evander
Mirabelle.
and just go, music of love, laddie.
Of excited, happy love. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you know that moment when 2 eyes meet and there's that warm, bubbly feeling inside that just kind of just takes you over. Do you know what I mean? No.
You're
Mirabelle.
talking about a cross-eyed person?
What? No,
Don't
Yes,
don't
you
listen
said
to
with
him.
2
Don't
eyes.
listen to him.
I'm talking about
Looks very
emotion.
She's talking about love, about fiery passion. I know what
Yes.
you mean.
Yes, and the excitement that comes with that of not knowing if it's going to fail or fall, or if it's going to be the best thing ever. But in that moment, it's everything. It's both those things. It's exciting. I want that.
That spark. Yes, Mirabelle.
It's a spark. Yes.
And earlier when they said that they are not Vistani,
Mhm.
Ulrich was listening to that. Is that would he have had the same kind of pick up the same thing like Connor did? Like they're not completely being honest?
Yeah, you can definitely tell. It's not untrue what they said.
Okay, but there's more to the story. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Okay. Is she still here? She leave?
She's making her departure, but then she got all riled up talking about
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
The music of love.
Yes.
Well, as soon as she leaves, Ulrich will make sure the door closes and listen to make sure that her footfalls are far away.
Okay.
And make sure.
You do hear her footsteps go away, and you can even hear the way that she's leaving and going down the stairs, almost with like a bouncy, happy, excited cadence that she's moving.
Okay. Are there any locks on this door?
Yes, there are. There's 2 locks that you can use.
Okay. Ulrich is locking the door.
Yeah, there's
That's right.
one at the foot, like at the bottom, that
Okay.
kind of like goes into the floorboards itself,
Okay.
and then there's another one right
Like
above
a latch
the
across the
knob.
top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ulrich secures the door, turns around, looks at everyone, and says, I don't trust them. This is really strange. Someone needs to keep watch while we're sleeping.
Make a perception check for me, please.
What? Damn you, disadvantage.
I mean, everyone can make a perception check for this.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. I've been doing pretty good with these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Perception.
Ulrich is on high alert.
There it is. Oh,
Okay,
sorry, I accidentally hit it twice.
that's all right. You still those rolls are still good. So pretty much everyone except for Tasso and Evander. Tasso, I assume you're kind of maybe focused on Scruffles, trying to get him settled.
Yeah, actually, I
Evander,
wanted to
who
see if there's
knows?
water in that basin. I'm gonna start washing them.
Okay, you're
Oh.
gonna walk the dog.
Yep.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So because you are so focused, even though you are probably physically the closest to the window, you don't notice that there's a raven outside of the window, just kind of peering in.
Oh, Scruffles. He doesn't like that raven.
The water's cold.
Yeah.
The water's real cold.
Wow, Scruffles sounds really big.
Are you sure
little dog
Scruffles
like
is the
that.
right name for this dog?
Scruffles is his middle name. First name's Cujo.
Cujo Scruffles.
Sorry, someone decided to knock on my neighbor's door.
It was a well-timed bark, though.
But what you guys notice about this raven, most importantly and particularly, is that the tips of the wings are blue, like a pretty vibrant blue color. And once it kind of notices that you notice it takes off.
I run to the window. Can I open it and look out?
I mean, you try to, but the window sticks a little bit.
Okay.
It hasn't really been opened that much. By the time you do open it, you don't see anything out there. You do see now a little bit more movement happening in the town itself. You see a few people moving about, some carts and and horses and things like that. So you can start to see the town coming alive finally.
All right. Close the window and make sure it's secure.
All
Evander's
right.
gonna hop onto one of the beds and say, "So, who wants first watch?"
I
I'll
don't mind
keep
watching.
first watch. Please allow me.
Okay. Having seen Ulrich kind of jealous over the bedroll, I toss the bedroll that I keep to him to use.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. All I need is a corner and Scruffles.
Thanks.
I take the chair and prop it up into the corner.
But before Ulrich sets up for sleep, he says, "There's something weird that we need to talk about first." Galen, when she rubbed
Hi.
her hand over your head and some hair came out, I don't trust that. Hair can be used to cast spells on people.
Hand it there, lad. Or are you just jealous?
Evander goes, "Ooh."
I'm doing you a favor.
I
Ulrich's
appreciate it,
right.
lad. Fair enough.
Evander's like, he
So
wants to defend the women a little bit. He's like, give them a break. You're just being paranoid.
And so Tasso, trying to hold back laughter, says, I think you need to shave it all off.
Okay, Ulrich turns around, starts putting his bedroll down, takes out
Let's solve the problem.
Delilah, puts her safely against the wall, and just making sure she has a little area, and just camps out, I guess, far away from the door.
Okay, so where exactly are you putting her?
Okay, so is one of the beds? Is there space between the wall with the window and a bed, or is the bed up against that wall?
So you have when you walk in, there's a little bit of space at the foot of the beds
Mhm.
where you can put like your backpacks and stuff like that, and then the head of the beds are actually butted up against the wall opposite of the door. But there is a
Okay.
little bit of space between that and the wash basin that maybe you can kind of tuck her into if you wanted.
Yeah, Ulrich wants to just get into whatever little corner is farthest away from the door and make sure that Delilah's near his face, just to keep a little secure nesting area.
All right. Are you trying to hide her from the other people?
No, not necessarily, but just if something comes in the room, he just wants to make sure that she's a little bit obscure and that he's always blocking whatever might come towards her.
Okay. All right. Easily done. Anything else you guys want to handle before your long rest?
I would like to cast Good
Oh,
Berry
her
again,
pot
so I
isn't
can have a fresh step
cracked.
for the next day.
All right, hold on. What were you saying? You want to cast Goodberry, Tasso?
Yeah, cast Good Berry, so I have that reserved for during the next day.
Okay. That's done. Good. What were you saying, Ulrich?
Her pot wasn't damaged or cracked from escaping Durst Manor, was it?
Maybe a little bit cracked.
Okay.
It's
If
like a fine crack.
Okay, so it doesn't seem like it needs repair or something like that.
Maybe not at the moment, but eventually you might have to get to it.
Okay, he'll leave it.
Okay. So who's on first watch?
It's Connor.
Connor.
I'll be on second. But as they're starting to settle down, I'm going to walk over to Connor and just go, what Ulrich was talking about, laddie. Could he be right?
Aye. Could be.
And before I settle down, because I have one more usage, I'm going to go ahead and just do Divine Sense.
Okay. Can you link that in the chat one more time? Okay. Perfect. You don't sense any celestial fiends or undead in your vicinity.
Okay. Then I'm gonna take off as much armor as I feel necessary to get a decent rest, but I hold on to my axe
Okay.
and I curl up in my chair.
Okay.
And just wait for Connor to wake me up to take the second watch.
All right. So I will say, just for the sake of brevity, you each take your turns doing your watch and going to sleep. Nothing happens during your watches, so you don't have to worry about that. However, while you're sleeping, you each have a dream. And it actually ends up being the same dream. And at first, you're kind of just in this void of darkness, but you hear a voice calling out to you. And it seems it's not a familiar voice, but you can tell by the tone and the sound of the voice that it's of an older person. And from the void, you see this hooded figure. He's in this bright blue hooded robe with this gold embroidery around it. You can't quite make out the face, but you can see the bottom half and the neck, and it does have kind of fine features, but you can definitely tell it's someone older. And you can tell by the finger and the rings that it does seem very feminine. It just kind of beckons you forward. And suddenly your vision shifts and changes, and you find yourself in this tent. This looks like a purple tent, and there's a table in front of you with cards, and this figure, this robed woman, is once again standing in front of you. And she pulls out one card from the deck and turns it over. And she looks at it and just kind of sucks her teeth and mists are hiding my vision. You would need to come closer for me to truly see into your future. And then suddenly, it's gone.
Do we see this card that you just showed us?
Yes. You would each see that card, and that's kind of vividly seared into your mind's eye upon waking.
Cool. Ravenloft's got tarot cards. Whoa.
But the morning comes. You guys have your long rest, so please reset your hit points to your new maximum. Reset
Yay.
spells.
Nice.
Do all that goodness.
I lose a level of exhaustion, right? For my long rest.
What do you have?
Just one. I just never.
Then yes, then yes, you.
Yay! And what's for hit dice? Do we get half of our maximum back? Is that what it is after a long rest? I forgot.
No, you get all of them back.
Is it all hit dice? I thought we don't get all hit dice back. But...
Rules is written as half of your max.
Yeah.
After a long rest.
Yeah, okay, which is I only used half anyway, so that's okay. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So it's now. Hold on, I already forgot. So it's about 2, 3-ish in the afternoon.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say about 3. Keep
Do we
it
still
simple.
hear the crying outside?
At this point, no, you don't hear it.
After Evander wakes up, he's going to start playing on both his instruments, both his lute and his hammered dulcimer, to kind of practice get into the performance mode, because he knows he's trying to live up to the expectations to draw a crowd and prepare music that will make people want to dance and liven up the common room. So he's going to be preparing for that during this time.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wow, he carries around a hammered dulcimer?
Yes, he has two
Oh, wow,
instruments. Yeah.
All right.
I have more than two, actually, I feel like.
Well, those are the two that I specialize in. I don't know if there's another one in my Well, okay, I have a harmonica, but I haven't figured out if that one works yet. So.
All right. All right. What's everyone else doing at this time?
Well, when Ulrich,
Who paid? Go ahead.
who paid? Who paid?
Oh yeah,
Who paid for
did
the
we have
room?
to pay for the room
Well, Evander put down a down payment.
of 3?
Yeah,
Mm,
I put
Yeah,
a 3 gold down payment is what I did.
okay. And then after tonight,
The deal is, if he doesn't produce tonight, you
It's
guys
an
have
extra
to,
5.
yeah. you pay
Gotcha.
full
Okay.
when Ulrich gets up, he wants to wash his face, but then sees, I guess, dog hair floating in the basin. So he'll
Oh yeah,
just
tons
not
of it.
do that. But he will go up to Tasso and say, "How's the dog doing?"
How is Scruffles doing?
Well, he's obviously looking a little bit better. He's not as dirty and disheveled. I would assume you're also been feeding him throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but that takes a while to kind of bounce back from. But his demeanor, his personality does seem brighter.
He's on the mend.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense that he was in Durst Manor all that time. Didn't Laszlo say that it had been abandoned for decades?
Yeah, what is decades? Like 3 years, 2 years?
10 years, laddie.
It's 10.
So Scruffles is 10. Happy birthday! And I start scratching him.
He like immediately moves over to his back and just
Oh
just
yeah,
loving it.
giving him all the scritches.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the moment you stop, he kind of like nudges at your hand, like, no, more.
So never mind that, but I had a really weird dream last night.
What
I
did you
dreamt as
dream of,
well.
laddie?
There was just, it started off as dark, and I heard a voice. And with the voice, no, it wouldn't have been familiar, but a voice. Not familiar voice. And there was an older woman with fine rings and garments and a purple tent and a table, like some kind of fortune teller, I guess. And she held up a card that had mists on it. And she said to go to her. I don't know.
I had a similar dream, but I saw a card with a gate and some stones.
Well, yeah, that was on the card too. But the card said mists.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Evander kind of stops his practicing for a second. Yes, I had the same dream, and behind this gate there are gravestones, and it's like a cemetery or something. Is that what you saw?
Yes.
Do you think this could be that Madame Ava that we were told about?
That seems likely.
Perhaps we should seek her out after my performance, and then Evander goes back to practicing.
So she knows we're here. I wonder if she knows too that we came to this place before and those other bodies. I don't know. Ulrich's gonna look out the window. This awkward conversation, just see what's going on down in the town.
Like things got weird. Let me look away.
Galen doesn't say anything. He just gets up and just goes, I think it's time for some ale, laddies.
Actually, Ulrich will look at Galen and say, "How do you feel?"
Like you could use a good drink, laddie. I look to Connor and I just go, Connor, ale.
Seconded. Forward.
Ulrich will talk to Connor, but not really look at him in the eye, but say, Connor, do you have any way of detecting curses?
Possibly.
Just something to keep in mind for Galen.
We'll keep an eye on him.
Okay.
Before I go, I'll ask Tasso if he wants to go, and then I'll look at Evander and just go, Appletini, lad? Cosmo, maybe?
Evander goes,
Wow.
Appletini sounds great. You know me too well.
One thing I forgot before we move on too much further, because I can't remember if I asked. Did you guys want it? Were you doing anything during your watch that you want me to know about, other than like watching?
Oh, so I have one stress point, and I guess, what are the ways again to get rid of stress? Like relaxing?
Yeah, you would have to do
Appletinis.
something like, yeah, you'd have to relax, like whatever that might be. Maybe it's you taking some time to meditate and look inward a little bit. Maybe it's you writing in your journal or reading something that
Okay.
you know very well. Maybe it's your gardening. So whatever it is that kind of puts you in that relaxed state.
Okay. In
you
that
could do
case, during his watch, could Ulrich have taken the time to fix that crack using his mending cantrip and just
Mm-hmm.
soothing Delilah, making sure she was okay to help relieve that stress?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Because
No more stress.
like that would also heal yourself. So,
Okay.
that would to me. So, anyone else?
Connor will, once everybody's asleep, he'll take 10 minutes to ritual cast Comprehend Languages and take another look at that book he found. See
Okay.
if anything else is revealed to him.
Nothing is revealed to you.
And Ulrich is always watching.
You're sleeping, so no.
Oh, during his watch. No, I'm not watching.
Have you done anything else with this journal since you've gotten it?
Other than just look through it, no.
Okay. So yeah, there's nothing written in it for you to comprehend. There's nothing that you can see.
Okay.
During Evander's watch, he would want to tune his instruments, both his lute and his hammer dulcimer, kind of softly play them, make sure they are well oiled, well rosined, whatever they need to be played well. But he also wants to start fiddling with that harmonica. He does still have that now that he's back in Barovia, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He does want to start playing it, and if it doesn't work, start to kind of slowly repair it, maybe open it up, see if there's little reeds or anything he needs to fix to see if he can make it playable.
Yeah, and as you're working at it, you hear funny man just kind of coming from somewhere. You're not even quite sure where. It might have just been you reminiscing.
Mm-hmm. Am I able to get this little harmonica to actually play, or is it not responding? Okay.
No, you are. I mean, it was a little out of sorts by the time you got it, but you fiddling with it during your watch time, you are able to get it into working order.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you keep it down?
I'm doing it quietly, I promise.
Not that loud. Did Tasso want to do anything during his watch?
No, I wouldn't have done anything special.
Just watching.
Yep.
Bonding with Scruffles.
Oh yeah.
Galen, were you doing anything?
I'd probably be shining my axe.
Mm,
And then finishing off with just time and prayer
okay.
for just protection and wisdom, since I'm
Yeah,
not the wisest of the group.
So again, for some of you during this long break, if you wanted to prepare, change up your spells, that'd be the time to do it.
Yeah, I did do
But-
that.
Okie dokie. So it is now morning. We have Galen, Connor, maybe Tasso going downstairs for a drink.
Oh yeah, I'll go with.
Yep, we're
Okay.
back in Tasso.
All right.
If
So
they're
y'all-
all going to go down, Ulrich will trail behind, hoping
So
to
you're
find
gonna-
food.
Then leave Evander here in the room alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't like my music anyway. He already said I was too loud.
Why would I stay?
I don't know, because you were the one that was like not wanting to leave people. Okay, it's fine. All right, so
I'm hungry.
y'all make your way down. You can see at this time. Yeah, right. This time, there are a few more people here. It looks like they're partaking in like a late lunch, or an early dinner, early drink. But yeah, there's maybe about 8 or 9 more people within the establishment here.
So I'm gonna loudly announce, "Wow, look at all these people Evander brought."
And everyone's kind of like you see like pairs of eyes kind of like look up at you guys now, that, like, oh. And you can even see some people kind of whisper to each other, like, oh man, as they're staring at you.
Oh, when Ulrich came back to Barovia this last time, he was making a point to stand up tall, but he's back in slouch mode, especially after that. No.
All right, okay. So what are you guys doing now?
I see the drinks flowing, and I just make a beeline right to the bar.
All right, you go towards the barkeep, Eric. Make a perception check for me. All of you that are going towards the bar are number. So you make your way over. He's a short, kind of stocky man with quite a gut on him, balding. He has these deep, sullen eyes with these dark circles underneath. He looks pale, but also like sickly at the same time. He just kind of looks over, slowly puts down his glass and the rag, makes his way over. What'll it be? Don't make me laugh, Ulrich. Come on now. I'm trying to be in character.
How much for a pint?
A pint.
A quart?
We have goblets of wine.
I immediately look to Connor and just go, how big is a goblet, laddie?
How much for a pint of wine?
Pint. He pulls out this goblet, this wooden goblet. You can have this. This what you want? Of wine.
I look at it and just go, it's not that lot.
It's about a fifth or a sixth of a pint. Master Brightburn.
I mean, I move over to Connor and just go, ask for ale, laddie. Wine, too high class for us.
Do you have any ale?
There is only wine.
Okay, wine it is, laddie.
Do you have
Don't-
water?
don't- It'll get the job done. I've had it before.
Understood.
We do have water. He kind of motions over to this keg, this barrel, this wooden keg with a spout. Fill it, whatever you want.
I immediately look at Ulrich and I just go, hold on, lad. He'll have milk. And I'll slide over a gold.
We have goat's milk.
He'll love it. He'll take it.
Okay. And he like absentmindedly just grabs the gold, fills a goblet of milk, fills 2 goblets of wine, and then pushes them over towards you guys.
And whatever Tasso wants. Tasso
Oh.
lad, what would you like? You and Scruffles.
I'll take a water. I take a couple of leaves out of my pouch and put it on the bar and slide it over to him.
And he just
Leaves.
looks at the leaves and he points to the barreled keg. Water is over
Alright.
there.
So I walk over to the keg and I just have it drip slowly so that Scruffles can just lick it. Like it's not, and not even putting it into a vessel. I'm just letting it drip.
Okay. I would say during this exchange, Tassel, you would kind of get the vibe that something's off about this dude. There's something strange about his demeanor.
Okay.
But
Would I have noticed that as well?
you would not have because Mirabelle, you feel her arm come around your shoulder. Says, "Oh," she kind of like strokes your cheek a little bit. So you're awake now, huh? You ready to come?
I am.
Come,
course.
come over here. And she kind of pulls you into just Galen. She pulls you over into a table, over on the other side of the room.
I make sure I grab my goblet as she starts to pull me.
Mm-hmm.
Can Ulrich just sort of casually stay in earshot behind her, but try not to be conspicuous about it?
You can roll a deception check, or
Deception.
well, no, stealth. Make it a stealth.
Okay.
Oh, I immediately would go. Connor,
Yeah.
laddie,
I had a feeling it
come
was gonna
join
be
us, laddie. Tasso, you and Scruffles, come join us.
I'm good here. You have fun over there.
Yeah.
I kick a chair as I'm walking by
Okay.
with my one.
Oof. Yeah. So you're definitely not subtle at all.
I spill some
Mirabelle,
goat's milk. Oh.
yeah, goat's milk goes flying everywhere. Mirabelle
Ugh.
clearly notices that you're trying to stay close, and she kind of like just glares daggers at you, and pulls Galen even closer to her. Connor, do you have stayed at the actual bar itself?
He'll try to move a little closer to Ulrich to where he might be able to whisper to him,
Okay.
but not getting up, not leaving the bar entirely.
All right. And where is Tasso staying in the vicinity?
How far away is the water keg to like the bar area?
Maybe about like 5 feet.
Okay. So I'll just let that drip and let Scruffles drink, and I'll come back over by the bar. And I want to eye the bartender just a little bit because if I'm getting that weird kind of vibe that something's wrong or something's off about him, I maybe do like a perception and investigation just to see if I can maybe get a better idea what I think it is.
Okay. I would say if you want to do that, you would have to interact with him a little
Okay.
bit more.
Sure.
Even if that's just you kind of watching his behavior and how he's interacting with other people or speaking to him directly, that will influence how much information you get.
Well, since I'm such an eloquent speaker in front of people, I'll probably wait a little bit and see if I can gather anything from his interactions. And then if 5-ish minutes have gone by and I can't, I'll probably then choose to interact. So
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So, Galen, Mirabelle has pulled you in, finally has you seated, and she kind of reaches out, just briefly touches the top of your hand. So, do you like the wine? Which one did you get?
There was only one choice, lass.
No, there's
Wine or water.
no, there's wine, there's wine, there's wine, or there's water. But the wine we don't have anymore, unfortunately. So you probably just got the wine, which is, it's okay. It does the job, though, no?
I haven't had a drink of it, lass.
Oh, well.
Just,
Sorry.
just doesn't it?
Go ahead. Take your sip of this
I
wine.
immediately look at it and just call out, Connor lad, did we get the wine? The wine. Oh, the wine.
It's wine.
I'm pretty sure it's the wine.
Okay, and I look at her and just go, we got the wine, lass.
Yes.
And then I'll take a drink.
It's okay, no? I mean, it's not the best, but it's what we are able to get for now. So that, and she kind of takes it from you, just gives it a little smell, and nods like, yes, that's the purple grape mash number 3.
Mm.
It is okay. It is how do you say? You can definitely dance all night with that warming your belly, no? But it's not the best. However, the winery it's been slow at giving us our shipments. So we are all out of Red Dragon Crush. And all we have is the purple grape mash. And the milk.
My friend is a big fan of the milk, lass. Look at him, the one behind you.
Oh, the clumsy one.
I merely look at Ulrich and kind of raise my goblet to him.
Walks away.
Yeah, that's him.
And who is the other one? The other short one, the other dwarf like you.
The other dwarf.
We don't get many dwarfs. You know that,
Oh.
right?
No, I did not know that, lass. That's Connor. He's the
Connor,
smart one.
the smart one. Then what are
Mhm.
you? If you're not the smart one.
The better looking one, lass.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
that touches you a little bit.
How many dwarves have you seen with these fiery red eyes?
Never. You are the first. That's why I noticed you right
Mm-hmm.
away. You're so different looking. You're not boring like everyone else here in this town.
This is true, lass. Neither are you.
Nah.
By the way, how old are you?
Ugh. How rude.
No more than 22, lass, right?
Oh, she just kind of shrugs it off. Like, yes, I am.
I like how her voice just changes immediately when I say that. Yeah, yes, I am.
I'll take it. Oh, that's her. I'll take it, voice. But while this is happening, what is Connor doing up at the bar?
He feels like he can speak to Ulrich without anybody else overhearing. He'll try to do that. Otherwise, he's just sipping his wine, looking back behind the bar.
What are you looking back behind the bar for?
Nothing in particular. He's just trying to stay unobserved.
Okay. I would say if you wanted to kind of have a whispered conversation, you could. Everyone seems to be going about their own business. Every now and then you might catch a few glimpses of people looking over because you guys are new to the town, so clearly people are going to notice that. But it doesn't seem like anyone's trying to overhear what you guys are saying, listen in on you guys.
And as soon as Connor comes up and tries to get close, Ulrich kind of leans away, uh-huh.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking, lad.
Go on, Zach.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No,
Okay.
go on.
I know what you're thinking, lad. And you're right to be cautious. But consider she may just be the typical exuberant, excitable human that she pretends to be. Or if she does have nefarious intent, she might have hooked a bigger fish than she'll be able to reel in. But either way, you'll be in a better position to react if you don't make it so obvious that you're on edge.
Well, I didn't mean to kick the chair, he says with a big goat milk mustache.
All right. Tasso, I would say as this time has elapsed, you're watching the barkeep, you see the way he's moving. It's almost robotic. It's almost as if he's done this so many times, his mind has checked out. You also have noticed with his interactions between not only you guys but other patrons of this inn, there's really no emotion behind it. It's again very robotic. It's just something that he does,
Okay.
which
Conrad calls that good service.
but it's still odd because even if it's just someone doing their job, there's at least a little bit of spark of life to it. Even if they're not really happy, you can at least gauge that, like, oh, this person hates their fucking job. You don't even get that feeling from him. It's just he's just here doing what he's always done, it seems like. So there's no joy, there's no hate, there's nothing. Almost is the vibe that you're getting from him.
So just like a completely blank individual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is very, very strange. You've never come across that.
So from the interactions that he's having with other patrons, are other patrons like that as well, or is it just this guy?
If you go ahead and take a view of the other patrons in the office, in the inn, you would definitely see a lot of soulless people in the office. But you gather there's a few of them that are very similar to the three women that own the establishment, that seem to kind of find joy in things. You can see a couple that seem deeply in love, and they're laughing and they're touching, but for the most part, the vibe that you're getting is very similar to what the barkeep Eric is presenting.
Okay.
It's just people going about their lives and the motions of it, but not having any emotions behind those actions.
Okay. Do I see if the burgomaster's son is still in the establishment?
He is not.
Okay.
At the moment.
Okay.
Evander,
Mm-hmm.
you've been upstairs for a while. What would you like to do?
Probably after about 30 minutes to an hour of like practice and preparing, Evander is getting excited to perform because that's what he does. So he's going to actually start gathering up his instruments, all his costumes, regalia, and basically, as with much flair and flourish as he can, take everything down and start setting it up like he's setting up almost like a play or like a concert, even though it's like in this little inn. He wants to find like if there's any raised area that would look almost like a stage at all down in the common room.
Yeah, there's maybe not like a raised area, but there is an area that's kind of cleared out where you can perform. There's no tables, at least immediately in that area. There's at least space there for you to perform, but it's not like a raised platform.
Okay. Well, for this open area, he's going to set up, at least in my mind, the hammered dulcimer is a thing that's got a little stand and a little, almost like a mini xylophone or something. He sets up, gets his little hammers out, prepare, kind of tune, make sure everything's good. He takes out from his entertainer's back costumes and starts hanging them up like almost like a backdrop of curtains to kind of give it some color and lighten up the area. And he's going to start making sure he's tuning all these instruments. He's also going to be looking out at the crowd to kind of gauge, see if it's an upbeat crowd or if they're down, kind of get a feel for the audience he's about to perform for.
Okay. And as you're setting up, Alenka comes through. She begins touching all your costumes and your instruments and says, these are of very nice quality. You must be very good at your job, no?
Evander's kind of distracted because he's still setting up everything. He's like, oh, yes, I do this almost every night. Well, when I'm not traveling. And he's just kind of continues tuning and doing that.
Of course. Well, that is good news for all of us. And she just kind of brushes her fingers along your shoulders before she leaves. And she shouts over across the room, Mirabelle, what are you doing? You're supposed to be
holding Mirabelle's hand at this point. I am totally like, her hand is, and I'm just like,
He's all in.
I'm all in. I immediately look over to Evander and I just go, Evan.
Evander looks over and notices for the first. He's like, yeah.
But Alenka says, Mirabelle, you and Sorvia are supposed to be promoting this guy, huh? What are you doing in here flirting with this dwarf man? Go out in the streets, bring in the crowds, and he better keep him. Better keep them in here. And Mirabelle just kind of, she begins to like blush, and you can see that she's a little bit embarrassed, and she says, I do apologize. I have disregarded my my duties to come and say hello. But maybe later tonight? No?
Absolutely, lass.
Okay, good. And then she quickly leaves the inn.
As she goes by Evander, he takes his most brightly colored cloak and hands it to her and kind of drapes it over here. Here, this will help get their attention.
Oh, this is very nice. Okay, thank you. Yes, this will help. Thank you. And then she darts out of the inn under Alenka's very watchful eyes.
As she's kind of doing that, Ulrich just turns to Conrad and says, I'll be right back. And Ulrich goes upstairs around the corner where no one can see him. And he's going to cast Disguise Self on himself to appear as some kind of combination of one of the patrons so that he's completely blended in.
Okay.
And he wants to come out and follow Mirabelle and just very inconspicuously see what she's about, try to pick up any conversation she has with anyone.
Okay. All right. You can take the time to do that. And as you're actually disguised and you go to leave the inn, your shoulder bumps into another person, and you catch a quick glimpse at him, and he looks to be one of the men that were drunken, passed out in the inn before. The one that was told that it was the burgomaster's son.
Okay.
So he walks in. He's rather tall. You do kind of catch a little glint in his eye. You do get the vibe that anyone who's watching him walk in, he walks in with slumped shoulders. He's obviously carrying like basically the weight of the world on him. He moves towards Eric, the barkeep, with just kind of like this sad aura around him. But he is tall, kind of fair-skinned, very light brown skin. What most people would consider to be a handsome man. Let me just show you the handout of him. That way you guys can make your own judgments. There he is. And as he walks in, Alenka kind of goes in to walk side by side. And she says, oh, Here again, huh, Ismark the Lesser, no? And she kind of like laughs a little bit cruelly at the name. And he just kind of shrugs her off and says, "Leave me be, woman." And he makes his way over to the bar and just kind of pounds his hand on the table, says, "Wine, Eric. I want wine." So, Connor, you're still at the bar, and Tasso too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you two sitting next to each other?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, if you're not,
If
then
I
Not,
keep
not
it,
if Conrad
I said,
has
probably
anything to
not.
say
I walked
about
over
it.
to toward the end by the water.
yeah, that's what I thought. So he would probably like sit in between the both of you.
Okay. Conrad will lean over and offer his hand and say, "Conrad and Darek, pleasure to make your acquaintance."
And you can tell at first he hears you, but really his focus is basically on his wine goblet in front of him. He takes a quick glance, goes back to his wine glass, and then he kind of sits up and looks again. Looks at his wine glass. No. He looks at you. You are an outsider. You're not from Barovia.
Very astute. I understand
And
you've
then
suffered a
immediately,
lot recently. My condolences.
immediately you can tell a difference in the way he even carries himself. Like, oh, perhaps the Morning Lord has actually heard my prayers and he still answers them here in Barovia. You. And then you can almost see like an idea passes his his face. He looks around. There's more of you. Have you been sent here to
Yes,
help me?
there's several.
Oh, my
Well,
prayers
we
have been answered.
don't know about that, but like I said, I'm sorry for your loss.
He looks a little confused. How did you hear of my father's passing?
Ivanka mentioned it last night as we arrived. You were indisposed here as we made our arrangements.
You can see him make like kind of a scowl at the mention of Alanka, and then a little bit embarrassed about hearing that you guys have seen him passed out on the table not too far away. But he leans in close, Connor, and says, "You should not be staying here. These Vestani, they're spies of the devil. This is not a safe place for you if you're an outsider."
By the devil, do you mean Strahd von Zarovich?
Like immediately like holds up his hand like, "No, do not say his name. This bad luck at the very least. But yes, you do mean the devil."
And you say that the Vistani serve this devil.
Yes, all Vistani. They cannot be trusted. And these women, even he gets even closer. Even other Vistani don't trust them. They are cruel.
Why is that?
Why
How so?
why do you think they stay here instead of traveling with their families and with their clans? They're looks over his shoulder to kind of make sure that they are shunned by even their own people. They're motu. They are not trusted.
And why are you
Shouldn't
here?
even be here if you're an outsider. very well now the devil knows that you're here. What was your question, Zach?
Why are you here then?
It's the only place to drink. Plus, I heard Sorvia talking about some bard, or that's not it's not an everyday occurrence here. So, and frankly, I could use my spirits lifted. I just wish my sister was here to enjoy it. She's always enjoyed song and dance and tales from outsiders. But if
Your sister?
you would like to maybe meet her, you and your people, we can offer more comfortable lodgings if that's what you need.
Well, that
So
does
Galen
sound
and Tasso,
interesting.
hold on, Zach. Galen and Tasso would see, and probably even Evander, all of you guys would see that he's having a conversation with someone. So I don't want you guys to feel like you can't come in. It just happened to be who he was sitting next to.
Sure. Yeah.
But what
Now
would
that
your
the love of my life has left me for the rest of the day.
oh my
Yeah,
god.
this two women that I've fallen in love with already. I'm going to just move over towards Conrad and them, but I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. Well, Ismark would notice.
But I do notice. I'm to assume that I heard him say that the Morin Lord has answered his prayers.
Yes. That's something he would have kind of like not been able to hide or keep to himself. Like
Sure.
that's he had a revelation there. So
I like to, as they're having this conversation, I don't want to interrupt with the back and forth that obviously Conrad is getting. I want to lean into Tasso and just go, Tasso laddie, where's Ulrich?
I don't know. Maybe he had the wine.
I'm pretty sure he had the milk, laddie. Oh, he had the milk.
He went
He's
back
probably in the
upstairs.
bathroom.
Yeah.
The privy.
he's in the outhouse. But yeah, Ismark again says, if you need better lodging, I would be more than happy to provide that at no cost. You
Oh,
could instead maybe help me with some problems.
what kinds of problems?
And you see him kind of like turning his goblet in a very nervous manner. He kind of looks down into it, like, and you can almost hear in his voice that's breaking and cracking. He's really trying to hold himself together. He says, "My father was the burgomaster of this town for over 40 years. He'd raised me and my sister very well, but we were not prepared for his death. And the town right now is in turmoil between the devil and his constant attacks and the disappearances and all this other danger that just lurks outside of town that seems to be seeping its way in. I'm at a loss, and there's not very many people here that are even willing to help. They're scared."
Attacks, disappearances.
Yes.
Ew.
He kind of slumps in his chair, like almost in a defeated type of stance. Yes, we have had, I think, maybe one every 2 months. Someone goes missing. We don't know where they go to. Every now and then, wolves roam our streets. been attacking.
Wolves in the town.
Yes, wolves. That's what drove my father to an early grave. Yeah. They frightened him to death.
How
that's
long
just
have
some-
these disappearances been occurring?
He thinks back, maybe about a year now. We haven't been able to find who's responsible.
And is this how Mad Mary's child was taken?
Ugh, Mary, constant thorn in my side. I would love to find her daughter. I really would. I don't know if she's possibly run off, or if she was taken, or
How
I don't
long
know.
has she been missing?
About just a few weeks now.
So one of the more recent disappearances then.
One of them. There was one other last month.
And you have no idea where the disappear are going or if
No
they're
one's
being taken.
No one seems to know anything. It happens in the dark of the night. No witnesses.
And these are the matters you seek help about?
And at this point he kind of turns to look directly at you. But there is one that's far more important to me and closer to my heart. I would see that my sister, Arina, be taken to safety, far from this town, far from Barovia and the castle that looms above us and the devil that hunts her. She's not safe here. And I am not strong enough to take her somewhere place safe on my own, and then to leave the town with no one to run it. I can't do that either now that my father has passed. So if you to help, I could offer some type of aid, and of course I could pay. And he kind of you can see him visibly trying to scramble, like, oh my gosh, what else can I offer? Just, whatever I can do.
And where would your sister go that is safer than here?
There is consecrated ground in the town of Valaki. I believe she would be safe from the devil there. Either there or, I hate to say it because it's even further away from me, but in the village of Kresk, there is also an abbey where I think she might be safe.
And you would be able to show us where these places are. Do you have a map or something?
Oh, I can definitely provide a map. That would be so easy. I could easily do that.
And these other accommodations you can give us, are they quieter and more dignified than this place?
They would be at the Burgomaster's mansion itself, where me and Irina, we live there, just us. But there's plenty of room for others.
And with your father's passing, are you now the Burgomeister?
I am.
I feel it is my duty to inform you. We encountered the remains of a messenger your father had dispatched to try to warn people to stay away from Barovia. I'm afraid the message did not get far past the gates to this area.
And you see him kind of turn away and completely down the rest of whatever was in his wine goblet. And he says, that is sad news. My father told me on his deathbed that he he sent that out as a last resort. He believed that we were all cursed.
Well, I believe Mr. Evander has already contracted to provide certain services for this establishment. And I'm reluctant to leave before he's fulfilled his obligations. But I will share your message with my companions.
Okay. I shall be here. Maybe after the show. I would really like a show.
Well, I understand Evander to be quite talented in that regard. It's not my cup of tea, but hopefully it lifts your spirits.
Okay. Well,
Are we close enough, Tasso and I, to kind of hear some of the conversation?
yeah, definitely Tasso, and you said you kind of moved up,
Right.
so you would definitely hear that.
Based on obviously the sensitivity of the information that's being passed, am I able to just take a look around to see if anybody seems to be interested in the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yep.
any kind of prying eyes that are looking his way since he's here?
Yes. So you would definitely have noticed a lot of people kind of watching this
Hmm.
conversation going, like catching little glimpses, like, oh, you
Sure.
know, right? You do notice Alinka watching very closely. She's on the other side of the room, but you can tell she's kind of watching the exchange and what's going on here.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll mention that to Tasso, so maybe give him an idea to kind of shoot a glance just to make sure that what I'm seeing is obviously seconded.
What about Eric through all this? Is he still his somber self, or is he paying attention as well?
Nope, he's just going about his business as you do in Barovia. He doesn't. You don't see him even. Normally if people are listening or trying not to pay attention, but they hear something like, "Oh shit," you don't even see that. Like he's just really focused on his task at hand.
How does Scruffles look? I mean, he's a dog. Does he have some kind of sense, dog sense here? Are there bad people in here?
Yeah, no, you don't get a vibe like there's bad people, and honestly,
This is a bad
he's
dog.
very interested in people in general. So everyone that walks by, he kind of like sniffs and like, hey, pet me.
It's one of those dogs.
Yeah.
Makes friends with the
He's
burglars.
been neglected for a while.
Yeah,
so he's
very
just...
much. But yeah, he's not getting a sense of anything off. He's more just kind of content that he's in a warm, safe place where there's food and there's water whenever he wants, and he's just happy.
I just
That's my boy.
pat him on its head.
Okay. Ulrich, you've been following Annabelle around town as she's been basically harking for Evander's upcoming performance and telling people, hey, get to the inn, things are going down, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's pretty much all she does.
Okay. She doesn't talk to anyone in particular. Nothing.
The people that she is talking to, it's all about
Promoting
the
got it.
promoting the performance. Up.
And while Ulrich is out here, he just wants to really take in the details of the town, since he is able to blend in and just really focus on noticing things. So he just wants to notice, like, what does the general demeanor of people seem like? Do they seem downtrodden, or do they seem okay? Do they seem healthy? Do the buildings seem in good repair? Just all of that.
Okay. For the most part, the people in general do seem to be fairly well fed. Like no one is really, starving. The buildings could use a little bit of extra work, a little bit extra paint, maybe get rid of some wood rot here and there. But they're not so run down that it's not livable. you do come across a few buildings, especially closer to like the outskirts, that are boarded up and closed off, and clearly no one lives there anymore.
Okay.
You get a general sense of feeling from the people that just this is our life. So it is very kind of downtrodden, sour type of. This is the lot that we've been given, and we just have to
Endure it.
Yeah, we have to endure it until it's over, and then who knows? But it's not a very jovial feeling you're getting from these people. They're not happy with where they're at, what they're doing. They're just surviving.
And is there any feature about the town that that strikes me, like any particular type of craftsman or services available?
Yep. While you're out and about, as I like to say, you do notice a mercantile building, like a place where you can buy goods. There's also an herbalist shop as well. In the distance, like kind of perched a little bit above the rest of the town, maybe on its own hilltop, is a church. And at this point now, you're starting to hear the sobbing again. That's coming from someplace in one of the southern parts of town. But other than that, I'm just double check one last thing. Yeah, so that would be it. That's pretty much all that you know. Everything else, kind of like more standard stuff, like a bakery and whatever. But those are really the only places of note.
How does the castle look? Is there any movement? Anything notable about it?
Nope, it just looks like a castle that's always on guard, watching the town.
Okay. And I think this is our very first daytime in Barovia. How does the sky look?
It's clouded. What you would expect from a normal daytime, it's still very dark. It's
Overcast.
almost it's more than just overcast though. If you recall the last large thunderstorm that's rolled through your town, and how even in the middle of the day it darkened it, like everything was dark. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
You can't really, you can guess where the sun is, but you can't really see the sun.
Even if it's not raining, it's just darkened. Okay. Then if, what's her name? Mirabelle?
Yep.
Doesn't seem like she's doing anything suspicious. Ulrich will make his way back. He'll go upstairs, go to the room, which, do we have a key for that, or is it just left unlocked if none of us are in there?
There's just one key, but I would assume someone locked.
Well, then Ulrich just make sure no one's looking. He drops disguise self, and then we'll walk back downstairs again.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to do while you're here? Ulrich, you would obviously see Connard engaged in conversation with this young man. If not, we will round out the rest of this session with Evander's performance.
The suspense has been killing us, Yeah,
so you've noticed a few people, filtering in from the outsides, or outside. They've been getting drink, they've been getting some food, and pretty much getting themselves comfortable and kind of focused on what you're doing, even though you're kind of just still setting up. But it's showtime, baby.
All right. Oh,
is there anything in Barovia that is the closest thing to a appletini? Because I did not give it to Evander. He always needs something to drink before the big.
Okay. And Eric kind of looks at you and says, "Just wine."
Okay, then I give him wine, and then I tell him it's the appletini.
Okay.
Evander's like, this is a customary drink that he always gets from Galen. He thinks this is some new concoction because that's what Galen's always doing. So a little fruitier than I'm used to you from Galen, but I like it.
And Evander, I guess
Good luck, lad.
since you're the last one out of the room, I guess you have the key.
Sure.
It's for whatever purpose.
Yeah, he would have locked it as he left, I'm sure, after. So for Evander's performance, he has a couple things planned here. He's yet to like have an actual performance since he's been in Barovia. So he is a little worried about what's going to happen, but he has a couple cantrips he wants to use to kind of liven up his performance here. He has Minor Illusion and he has Prestidigitation, which these Prestidigitation can cause little sparks and, wind and musical notes. All these things are planned to go off while he's performing. But since we're in Barovia, it's possible these things are like dark or bloody things that happen, which is not what he would expect to happen. But the most important thing that he would like to do is something that I've not used yet, and that is I have an ability from my College of Glamour called Enthralling Performance. And at 3rd level, I can charge my performance with Seductive Fey Magic that basically I can target up to 4 people, up to my Charisma modifier, which is 4, that they have to make a Wisdom saving throw, and if they don't, they are charmed. They idolize my performance. So I'm going to try to do this on Alinka, Mirabel, and Sorvia, all 3 of the women there.
I knew it. I knew he was trying to steal my girl.
Steal your girl.
But then also on the innkeeper, since I've noticed that, he's kind of a dead weight there, basically.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of livening up.
Yes. So, and for my performance, since we're trying to do like this kind of, since Mirabel said that she wanted liveliness and dancing, the theme of this performance is going to be David Bowie's Just Dance. So,
I love
So
it.
good.
so
good.
very much in the theme of the labyrinth with all the Muppets going on. It's going to be, the dun 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 dun. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. The whole, get everybody in the end dancing. Just dance. Dun, 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 dun.
Not
So that's
everyone
the thing.
dances, but the 3 women are dancing with each other. They're loving what they're hearing so far.
Ulrich's against the wall, watching.
Disdainfully.
No, trying to keep the disdain in check.
But Evander does want
They're
to
just going.
try to get into dance with Mirabel. You totally need to dance with her. Evander does want to use all of his instruments, so he's like trying to do the whole one-man show thing where he's on the lute for some of the time, using the hammered dulcimer as kind of a rhythmic thing going along. So you pulling out all the stops to see if you can make this thing happen.
How are you using the Minor Illusion?
The Minor Illusion actually can create sounds, and so the idea was actually to use it almost like a rhythm section, kind of a drumming that's underneath. Yeah, basically percussion underneath what he's doing with his other instruments that he's playing.
Okay, all right, got it. And the prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation. What I like is it says it creates instantaneous harmless sensory effects. So I want it to be like little bursts of sound, color, and lights that are happening during basically he wants to be a DJ for this thing where
It's like the fireworks at a Kiss concert.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. Wow, this is some lively stuff, Evander.
He's pulling out all the stops for this.
I can see.
You can
All right,
see his reputation precedes him.
What is your spell save DC?
Spell save DC is 14 is what it is.
Okay.
I'll do a performance check as well just for this.
Yep.
Oh,
There it is.
Nice.
Okay. So Oh wait, you also wanted to do Eric too, correct?
Yeah, he was the other one because I noticed how much Tasso was trying to get
So-
into him.
Sorvia is loving everything.
Nice.
Everything that she's seeing, all the flashes of lights, the little extra sound. She's in awe, and she's out there dancing, laughing, having a good time, trying to corral the other patrons into dancing and enjoying the joy that she feels. Eric, you actually kind of see him nodding his head a little bit to the beat.
Nice.
Mirabelle is out there dancing, and again, she's trying to get the crowd hyped up and into it. And she does pull you out of the crowd, Galen, to go dance with her.
I'm the best wingman ever, Galen.
Alinka is tapping her toe, but watching you and the rest of your people very close. And also Ismark. But that is it. Is there any other show you
No, mainly Evander is trying to bring out some happiness and life in these people. So the whole theme, there's not going to be any woeful tales or tales of long lost love. He wants to keep it upbeat and happy and energized the entire night. So
All right, I would say for the most part, people were paying attention. You had their attention. The majority of the people were kind of just nodding along with it. You got a few of the fellow Barovians outside of the 3 Vistani women here to kind of dance and laugh along with you. But most of the people just kind of stayed where they were and enjoyed the show from their seat.
Okay. The one thing I would like to do is after the show, whoever seems most affected by it, which I'm guessing was probably Sorvia, I think you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I can maybe pull her aside and ask, if she enjoyed the show, but kind of start suggesting while she's under this effect, what she can tell us about her sisters in the town that we should maybe be careful of.
Okay. She's like, oh yes, the show was so marvelous. I haven't seen anything like that since my days with the Vistani camps. I really miss it. And you can see she's a little broken up, but then she kind of snaps out of it. Anyways, you were marvelous, Evander. You're so good. What particularly do you want to ask her, though?
Basically, I want to, without trying to seem like I'm suspicious of anybody, is if we need to be careful of her sisters or anybody in town either taking advantage or meaning us harm in any way.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's lots of harm to be found here in Barovia, especially for you outsiders. You don't belong here. I would say just be as careful as you possibly can. And don't get on Alenka's bad side. She can be quite mean. I would also say don't travel at night. Even on the roads. Very dangerous. And also
Maybe.
don't, I mean, it's probably impossible for you, but don't do anything to bring the gaze of Strahd on you. That's the only way you'll stay safe here.
He wants to ask her if she can put in a good word with Alinka on behalf of us in the group.
I can certainly try. I mean, you were just so great out there. I mean, why would she have any ill will towards you? I will definitely put in a good word for you.
Alinka, you are amazing. He's going to continue to kind of lay the charm on to her.
Sophia.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorvia. Oh, call her by her sister's name. Not the best.
That's not gonna go over well at all.
The effect is over.
Charm has broken. You have done damage.
Anything else you might want to get while she's under this effect?
Um.
I will say she failed fucking hard. So, like,
Same
even you calling her Lenka hasn't quite broken anything.
Okay. Phew, thank goodness. Evander actually wants to look at his fellow compatriot, see if maybe while this effect is under effect, if they have anything I should ask these people while they're kind of still enthralled. Kind of get input from the others.
Well, Ulrich is probably far away from you against the wall. During the performance, he would have had his eye on the three sisters, and he would have been paying attention to anyone else in the group was talking to or looking at them, but not close enough to probably hear what you're saying to Sorvia. And actually, would Ulrich have noticed if Alenka didn't seem too happy with the performance and was looking at the group?
I mean, what you would have noticed is just her paying attention to everyone, like everyone in your party and Ismark. It's not so much, she wasn't really even focused on the performance itself. It was more like every now and then she might glance over if there was a big pop of light or color. But for the most part, she was watching you guys.
Okay.
Boo in chat actually makes a great suggestion. Is it possible that I can ask about the hair that Mirabelle took earlier from Galen?
It's
Dun dun dun.
I am at this point completely slow dancing with Mary. I'm twisting because I'm not that tall. That I'm like pressed up against her stomach. I'm just gonna like.
Then I will.
He's off in his own little world.
He is. Since Mirabelle's not paying attention, Evander wants to kind of conspiratorially with Sorvia say, so Mirabelle, does she fall for guys this heavy very often? As he kind of points over at her and Galen.
Oh, she is. She's very emotional. She's quite young, you know. But she does have a certain. She does very much enjoy the newcomers. You guys bring a little extra something different.
Does she perhaps dabble in and he like kind of does one of his little spark things, his little prestidigitation things. Does she happen to dabble in these lights and colors and magic like some people do?
Oh, it's magic? Not her so much. She looks at you. She says, you know, whatever's been gathered has already been given to Strahd. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. What's done is done, no?
Of course.
Yeah.
So does Evander understand when she says whatever's been gathered has been given, that does this apply to people in the town? Is that what he's getting from this?
You tell me, what does Evander take from that?
Whatever has been gathered, been given. If he asks about magic and she says that almost makes Evander think that people who do show some sort of talent might be the ones who are disappearing. That might be connected somehow.
Are you just telling me that as your DM, or are you telling that to Sophia?
Well, I'm saying this
you
as
ask her to clarify what she means.
Evander's afraid of letting too much. He doesn't want to break the spell he has by being too outspoken. So I guess I'm asking you as the DM, is this something that Evander could have gathered and feel like that she had given away that she shouldn't have given away?
You definitely would get the sense that it's something she normally wouldn't tell people, like outsiders.
Okay. Then I'm not going to pursue it anymore. I don't want to break the spell that he has over her.
Okay. I'm not quite sure that's something you need to worry about with charm.
Okay.
But I will double check if you want me to.
Well, I mean, just going by the description of it, effects end if it takes any damage, if I attack it, or if I witness you attacking or damaging it. So I didn't know if it'd
Right.
be considered damaging her allies if I find information about them.
Yeah, so they're basically going to see you as a fellow ally. So, again, that's part of the reason why she would tell you something like this, because
Okay.
it's something she would tell a stranger or someone she doesn't trust. But while she's under this influence, she does, she does trust you. She sees you as a close friend and ally.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I guess
So,
I
mean,
should
if you
ask.
slap her in the face, that might get something, but
Well, then can I ask her about Strahd? If Strahd has a...
what would you like to know?
How well do you know Strahd?
And Lincoln knows him better than we do, but he has invited us to the castle once for dinner. It was quite good.
What can you tell me about the castle? Did you see anything interesting or
I
unexpected?
can tell you that he plays the organ, the harpsichord, very, very well. He's a very talented musician. We didn't really see too much beyond the dining room, but it was very grand, very beautiful, and he's amazing. He really is.
Do you know of any people who stay at his castle besides him?
Oh, yes, he has his brides. They're always there. And then whatever love interest he has at the time, they also will stay there. But his brides are always there.
How many brides does he have?
He has 3, if you can bear it. He has 3.
Who are these brides?
They're not nice women. I hope you don't ever see them. I hope I don't ever see them again.
Are they from the town here?
Most of them, I believe. Honestly, I tried not to talk to them. They unnerved me. They were very strange.
Evander's gonna again look to his friends because he feels like he should get more information, but he doesn't know how to prod. So he's gonna look to his friends again.
Who sees him, like, basically pleading,
Yeah.
like, help me, bro.
Ulrich notices, but isn't sure how to act on this.
Connor will come whisper in his ear. See if you can find out why Strahd is friendly with the Vistani.
Evander gives a nice knowing look, and to make it so it's not obvious and it's going to be completely obvious, he's going to say, "So, what can you tell me about the Vistani?"
I can tell you much about the Vistani. Many of them are boring, old-fashioned, traditional, boring people. And you can kind of see just a quick flash of regret. But she pushes that aside. And she says, I much prefer this life where we stay in one place and we get to meet you and other people like you.
So, as a Vistani, you and Strahd are close, huh?
No, don't call me that. Don't call me Vistani. I am no longer Vistani.
I'm sorry, I would never presume.
And to be clear, the last time we met with Strahd was quite a while ago. He doesn't deal with us directly anymore. But we have means of getting him information that we know that he would want.
That's very generous of you. What do you get in return for this?
Well, hopefully will get back in his good graces. That is what we wish. So we have people that are close to him, that we know, that's put in a good word for us.
It's very wise of you. Is there any way we can avoid becoming in his bad graces? I assume you do not want to be in the bad graces of Strahd.
No, we don't. We only have survived because even he follows his own laws of not harming the Vestan. So, here we are. And again, she kind of looks a little sad, a little angry. And you're not quite sure why, but that's the impression that you get.
Okay.
But yes, do not do anything that would anger him. Although at this point she kind of gets really close, and you can see like this seriousness on her face. She says, "But if you are already here, and you are not of Barovia, well, he probably already has his eyes on you anyway."
Question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, is Alenka close enough to see this exchange?
If you take a look, she has her laser focused eyes here watching.
Is she close enough to hear what they're saying?
Not yet.
Okay, she's not interrupting. She's just letting it happen.
Yeah, at the
Okay.
moment. Because she's, well, at the moment.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
After that last bombshell she dropped of that definitely makes Evander kind of roll back in his searching, because he's freaked out about Strahd's already got his eyes on us. So he's going to go back to small talk and not speaking of anything that might be incriminating or cause danger now.
Okay. What's everyone else doing?
After seeing all these long exchanges, Ulrich, if he can, wants to walk over and kind of catch Evander's eye, kind of like to come over. But hopefully he doesn't want the Vistani women to see, but if they see that, that's fine. But he wants to catch Evander, kind of beckon him over. And Ulrich's standing near the door that leads to the street.
Okay. Servia will just start kind of touching the hammer dulcimer a little bit. Like ding 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 ding.
Evander will excuse himself and say, "Enjoy the instruments there."
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
And just kind of bows and kind of, I'm going to get some air, as he moves towards the door.
And Ulrich moves ahead and will just stand outside around the corner and wait for him.
Okay. And Evander will walk outside kind of like casually, like needs to stretch and recover from the performance.
All right. And as you're making your way out there, is anything else? Galen, the music has stopped. Mirabelle has pulled you over to the bar for another drink.
Oh, yeah.
But Conrad and Tasso, anything you guys wanted to do?
Nothing particular.
Okay.
Nope. Just hanging out, making sure Scruffles is okay.
Yep. Scruffles is having a ball. He's
Good.
really enjoying all this excitement and the scraps that people are dropping.
I am following Scruffles' lead then, so I'm just hanging out with him.
All right. Ulrich and Evander, you're outside.
Okay, before I get into this, how much more time do we have? Or is
You
this
gotta wrap it up real quick.
okay? Well,
Make it quick.
basically, Ulrich's just gonna say, you were talking to her for a long time. About what?
Evander's going to kind of casually look and make sure nobody's hanging out by the door and say, "We both know we're near Strahd, and we both have experienced his power in some way. I'm trying to see what kind of danger we're in and what she knows about it."
And so Ulrich will have asked, like, what specific questions did you ask her? And I'm sure Evander offers up the information, no problem.
Oh yeah, he would tell Ulrich anything he heard.
Okay, so after hearing all that, Ulrich looks a little distressed and says, "That's all well and good, but it works both ways. her sister, friend, whatever, was watching the whole time. She's probably going to ask her what the kinds of questions you were asking Sorvia. So she'll know exactly what you were looking for. I don't know if that helps us or not.
Evander thinks that's a very good point. He says, she is charmed if I ask her not to reveal what we talked about or to ask her to lie about what we talked about.
Wait,
I believe what?
you charmed her?
My music charmed her.
Isn't she going to know when it wears off?
Not even a little bit. All she'll remember is a lovely night of music and talking with somebody who created it.
I hope so. I don't know. There's something weird about these Vistani. I think they know about magic. I don't think we should stay here much longer.
No, you're probably right. I've probably brought in a lot of attention with tonight's performance anyway.
All right. So, on that note, we can end it. And then the next session, you guys can decide if you want to continue to stay at this inn or maybe take up Ismark on his offer of staying with him. But we are a little bit past our regular time, so I think it's a good stopping place. I mean, we could
this
go
is
on.
Good.
Yeah,
We could go on for hours, but this is a blast. Thank you,
and
Doreen.
hopefully the phrase "not even a little bit" doesn't come back to bite us.
I'm sure Evander never makes mistakes about what he says and goes overboard or anything.
Never, it's not Evander. But no, I think you guys did pretty dang well. So yeah, I'm happy with this session.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you again, Doreen, for putting this all together. This is always a lot of fun for me.
Yay!
Good. I'm glad you guys show up and enjoy it as much as I do. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, especially Zach in a hotel over there showing up. Thank you, Zach. But yes, so thank you all. I hope you all in Twitchland enjoyed. This was a blast. Again, just really quickly, Mr. Shogi playing Galen over here. Archon playing Ulrich. Our amazing GM, Doreen. We got Jitterbug or Jeremiah playing the amazing, what's your guy's name? Tasso.
Tasso.
And then Zach, of course, playing Connard. So
Our
we hope you all had a
fearless leader.
blast. Our fearless leader, the king of our merry band.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure it'll go to his head like it does for Evander all the time.
Master of the Misfits.
But we hope you all had a blast, and we will be back, I guess, 2 weeks from today, I believe. Is that right? If that's our
correct.
normal schedule, if we keep with that.
Yeah, the 31st should be the day.
All right, great. Well, I hope you all have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, peace out, my friends. Happy game. We'll see you all next time. Later, everyone.
Bye.